Façonnette, see, you were acting suspiciously. So many people voted you out.
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm new to the game, so I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, but you were following people like you have to play it cool.
Welcome to Brands in Play, the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse.
And I'm Albane Prioux, insights and partnership director at Geek.
This week on the show, our takeaway from Apple's WWDC conference. The Gen AI company Midjourney gets sued by Apple and Universal over copyright infringement. Meta partners with Oakley, and we now have 2 new handheld devices on the market for Xbox and Nintendo.
And after that, we'll be speaking to Uri Marchand, CEO of Overwolf. But first, we'll play the smash hit Among Us. It's very COVID 2021, but we'll do that and play the overall app Outplayed. Don't forget to subscribe, review, and join the conversation with Brands in Play. Let's dive in.
Let's go. Albane, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm great. It was amazing. It was perfect.
Father's Day.
I did like lots of stuff. It was super packed, and also it was Father's Day.
Yeah.
So it was rad. Father's Days, I was excited because my son gave me this card that I think is pretty dope. It's one of those like Mad Lib cards where you fill
that's so
stuff
cute.
in. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And he's got like this is a picture of him, that he
I thought
drew,
it was a
which
picture
is
of
pretty
you.
dope. No,
With the glasses.
but oh no, yeah, this is me. This is
Oh
me.
yeah, right?
So
Okay,
yeah.
so that is you.
It's uncanny. I love it. But like some funny things he wrote. It's like he's like, my dad is, and you're supposed to put the age. He said 29, which I thought was rad. I'm definitely not 29.
That's
Um,
great. Compliment.
I'll take it.
I'll take
And
29. Oh, that means that he thinks 29 is old. In that case, we're
I'm
very, very
ancient.
old.
I'm ancient. And then it said under, his job is making Roblox designers.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what I do. And then he said he's super special because he lets me eat cake in the morning, which I only did once.
That's so good. It's so
So-
French of you. Well done. Eat cake
Oh, is
for
that what you guys
breakfast.
do?
I mean, we eat very sweet stuff in the morning, early on in the morning. So that's so good of you. That's so nice. That's such a
Yeah.
nice card. I love that.
It was a sweet feeling. And I wanted to save this for the news section, but might as well just say right now, Fortnite released custom skins for Father's Day
Yes.
of classic dads from TV shows like Hank Hill, Bob Belcher, and Cleveland. They're always on point with
Yeah, I
releasing
thought that was
platform-wide updates that are
Yeah.
relevant to culture. So well done.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. On that, I got it wrong because I thought, they're also really good on social media to tease those new upcoming partnerships. And they were releasing like some body parts of those characters. And I thought I recognized Peter Griffin's ass on Instagram, and it wasn't him. So it was a great disappointment. So my cartoon knowledge is not on point anymore. But I agree with you. I thought that was a very good, very, very good activation from them. But on my side, so this weekend I went to, it was also Father's Day. So I went to the countryside and I got do you bike? I can't remember if you do, but I got a
Yes.
road bike for the first time. So I'm training for a triathlon and I was going to give a message to the world. So if you have done a triathlon, I would be really interested to know what has been your regime, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I've done a marathon before, but I've been diving into cycling now. But the first day, so me and my husband went out. It was the first time that we're taking my bike, first outing, got into an accident. So
No.
this lady, this older person, like I think was too old to drive and mistook her brake for her accelerator. So she ran on my bike. Thankfully, like we're fine, nothing happened. I was a bit shaken up, but the first outing, first time. And I've never had any. I've been driving Lime bikes, which arguably are the most like more dangerous. Never had any issues. First time with the road bike, ran over. So there's a bit of a scratch on it, but it's okay.
Damn.
But I was just like, is this a sign? Should I not be doing this? Um,
No, but you're a overachiever. You're
and
like
I
a
was like,
heavy
this is
hitter.
fine.
Like,
I've got a bit of a bruise on my leg, but otherwise we're all good. But I was like, this is so like WTF moment of this is the
well,
first. I just bought the bike yesterday and it already has a scratch on it. But anyway, so that was
sorry
my
to hear
weekend.
that. I'm glad you're okay.
I'm good. She wasn't going really fast, and I think was like I was just thinking like there should be like at some point where you have to redo your driving license. But anyway, that probably is going to be my plate outfit for this week.
Yeah, no, I can speak to that. I mean, I was a big bike rider and cyclist up in San Francisco for almost 10 years. And yeah, I have almost been killed many times on the street
Mm,
in major cities just because people they're not paying attention. Well, that's all I wanted to say. But should we go to the
a lot
news?
to unpack. Let's go to the news.
Let's go. The news. Albane, I think you have the first story. You want to kick us
I
off?
do. So, a quick note because I know that everyone is talking about it, and we already talked about this on the podcast before. But I think huge milestone for Grow a Garden, which is a game or an experience within Roblox that has gone viral. But they've just reached a new milestone this weekend where they essentially beat the highest CCU number that Fortnite had back when, it was like the hype of Fortnite, which was at 15.3 million CCU. Grow a Garden this weekend went to 16.4 CCUs,
Damn.
millions. And this was so big and such a large milestone that even Tim Sweeney reposted this on Twitter. He just commented, "Wild." Which it is. It is crazy. It is wild. But I just thought it was really nice of him to comment on it as well. And it's just like really excited to see such huge numbers like being possible on a platform like Roblox. And I'm excited, I think, to see like other platforms, other games being created and see, what virality can look like on those platforms.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add there other than these numbers are just bizarre. That
Oh,
bigger
go
than
for it.
platforms, bigger than some of the AAA titles in the world,
Yeah,
and this is all happening inside of UGC gaming. We're gonna see so much more of it, and so many other
exactly.
anomalies that come out of nowhere.
Exactly. So that was just a quick note, but the actual news that I had was just today that Oakley and Meta have announced their partnerships, which I'm incredibly excited because I have been saying this for a really long time that I have been, second, like not sure whether I wanted to buy the Meta glasses because of the lack of variety in frames. But
You're
Oakley
just a
is
hater on Ray-Ban. You just
no,
it's not your
it's
thing.
just one type. Like you should, there's different types of faces. Not everyone rocks that kind of frames. And so I'm really excited to see that Oakley is doing this partnership with Meta. I believe it will be on June the 20th. That's it. June the 20th, 2025, that they would reveal their whole new smart glasses line. So we just had a teaser, but they're really going all out. So there's already a Oakley Meta Instagram account. And obviously, Mark Zuckerberg has like talked about this. So really excited to see what those new frameworks. I think knowing Oakley and their design is going to be incredible.
Well, you know how I feel about that.
Yes.
Ultra hyped. I'm ready. Show me more. Say less. You know what I'm saying? Jump to the next story. This is all about Apple WWDC 25. Have you watched these Apple shows in the past?
So yes, I've watched it in the past, but for this one, I was so like a bit busy, so I've only watched it through influencers and what their thoughts
Hmm.
were. So maybe I'm a little bit biased on my own opinion because I think the reviews from influencers that were there were quite negative.
Yeah. And so, from a high level, this is like Apple's annual conference where they announce all their new products and the impact that they're planning to make. And I think this year there's sort of been a consensus that it's been a bit underwhelming as far
Hmm.
as the announcements, nothing like groundbreaking. And another critical point would be that they are very behind when it comes to
Yeah.
AI and
Yeah.
Apple
Absolutely.
Intelligence. And they also had all these false promises where last year they said, this is what we plan to do this
Exactly.
year.
And they
They
fell
still haven't
short.
even done that. So, yeah, they're
It's not.
behind.
I think it's been a while since I've seen Apple really releasing something that's truly exciting. And I always feel like year after year, it's just a little tweak of something that they've already done. So like the glass iOS or the fact that it's now
Mhm.
iOS 26, so it follows the. I just it's like, come on, like, where is the actual innovation? Like, they used to be known for this powerhouse innovation company, and I think they're now being left behind a little bit with their competitor. I hate to say because I love their, obviously, I'm an Apple user, I've got their phone, so like my whole ecosystem is on iOS, but I agree with you where I think it's frustrating to, as a user, to always feel like Android is now having like Google has now phones that are a lot more performing, Samsung as well. So it's just a little bit frustrating to see that they're not really catching up on that.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm like you, I'm still a massive Apple fan. It's the majority of my devices are Apple. It's all good. But yeah, again, a company that invented the iPhone and changed the entire industry. What are they inventing next that's going to be on
Exactly.
that level? Obviously they don't have Jobs anymore, Steve Jobs, so it's a different situation, but I'm still optimistic with them. But the one thing I wanted to talk about coming out of that conference was their announcements on Vision OS, which is like the Apple Vision Pro headset. you know, this is an overpriced piece of technology. It's
Mhm.
amazing. It's fantastic. I have one. I kind of was predicting that they might not even mention it in this new conference, but they did have a big chunk of time dedicated to it. And then the last thing that I think is most important about this update is the shared viewing, because I think when people put on a headset, it's often an isolating
Yeah.
activity, right? So it's like if you live in a house with several people, you oftentimes don't want to put that on unless you want to escape them. So there's this update where like you can have a couple people in the same space, you both have the headset on and you sync what's happening. So you can watch a movie. If you and your partner had, both headsets on,
Okay.
throw it on the ceiling and then lay down to like watch the movie together, or you can play mixed reality games with like a virtual ball that's going back and forth within your space. That's a big deal because I do think like one of the barriers to entry of adoption is like this isolation of VR use, and
Mhm.
with the people that are in your general vicinity, like I'm really excited about that. What do you think?
Yeah. That, I mean, is that in the price point, I think, is the the big the
Well,
big the big issue on adoption of the Apple VR headset. But I think no, I agree with you. I think the more that you can share the experiences that you have, and I think you're right in the sense that if if you don't have a community of friends that also like you can share those experiences with, then I think the adoption is going to be smaller. So if there is this like possibility of seeing the same thing and sharing the same experience, then I think that's really interesting. It's more, I find it like there's going to be still, I'm still skeptical on how fast those headsets are going to be adopted because it is still like completely
not
different.
fast.
It's not
It's
the same as putting just glasses or like
right.
going inside an app that's through your phone, etc. Like this is a completely new feeling. Like people still get sick, etc. So I think we're still earlier days of like that adoption, but it's exciting to see like what developers as well are going to start creating with this in mind.
Yeah. You also brought up the price point, which is a massive problem. It's $3,500. Like
Yeah.
no one's buying
So
that.
you have two. You need to have one.
I
Now
know, right? Which
that's how.
family's like
No, but you
buying
know what I mean.
two?
Like now, like like now you can share this with your friend and watch the movies together. And it's like, oh, okay, so I've got me, my wife, and like two kids. Okay, so it's like it's a bit expensive. I need to think a little bit more about if they're going to release those kind of features for like the family to enjoy. Then
Right. Well,
they
I
need
was
to.
disappointed because I was hoping that they were gonna give us some new hardware,
Yeah,
releases that it's like, "Look at this one,
more
it's half as
approachable.
good, but, like, a third of the price." It's like,
Yeah.
Okay, cool, we can, like there's some scale there, but no updates on hardware."
Yeah.
Um,
Well, might come soon.
yeah.
But anyway, so speaking of console and hardware, so I also have there's two new handle console that have been released. One is from Xbox and the other one is from Nintendo with the Switch 2. And not that, either of them are like particularly, in my opinion, groundbreaking. I think obviously for Xbox, it's their first one. So that was a long awaited for Microsoft to have a handle console. But I thought it was quite interesting to see the push, I think, towards more of a less of a PC console, like sanitary way of playing. And we're more and more like we know that mobile is king, but I just still wonder what was essentially the move of Microsoft by launching this handle console. I do get the point with Xbox that they're like probably seeing their sales going down. But I would have gone mobile or something a little bit, I don't know, like the first I don't know. I was expecting something a little bit more mobile. That again, this because we've seen the Steam one not doing particularly well. So I do wonder what is going to be the future of those type of devices as well, and whether it's going to compete with what you can have on mobile, specifically now that you do have AAA games. Like if you look at Genshin Impact, that are
Hmm.
compatible with mobile devices. So I wonder what's going to be, I think, the future of those kind of hardware. But
It's
excited. I mean, it's launching on for the holiday season, and they did partner with Asus as well to launch this new console. And the I think at the moment, just again, my opinion is often goes through influencers. It's a bit meh and not incredibly thrilled or excited because I think people have been burnt by the Steam. And I think the switch to, if you have the OLED one, it's not really a massive upgrade either. So
Yeah, I think hardware is a tough game. It's hard to see a lot of success with hardware. You hear that all the time, and I think this is a risky move. Also, I think that the player base and the users today, they have this expectation that they can access the game they want however they want it, whether that's on their phone or their iPad or console or PC. Like there's this expectation now that's like, no, I only have this. I want to play the game. So what's up? I'm not gonna buy a new thing because of the game is so great, right?
yeah. Well, I think that's what Switch 2 has done, right? Is that they're actually quite smart when they do own specific IP. So for the Switch 2, there is an exclusive Mario Kart world, and I've heard a lot of reviews or even influencers saying that they would only buy that type like that hardware because there is this new Mario Kart that they want to have access to. So that was quite smart, but I think that only works when you have exclusivity of distribution of certain IP. And I don't know if Xbox
Yeah,
has that and will be able to do that. And
that's a great point. I mean, like, Nintendo's done that since the beginning. They've
yeah,
always had the banger hit. It's a monopoly on
and
that
it's
hardware
exclusive,
and
so you need to have it.
by the unit. So yeah, like if you're
Exactly.
Nintendo and Switch, you can do that. If you're Xbox, maybe you can't. So
Yeah.
let's see what
Skeptical.
happens.
Let's see.
So my next story is super interesting and obviously very controversial. It's all about how the AI company Midjourney, the Gen AI company, has being
Mhm.
sued by Disney and Universal over copyright infringement. And this is all about how they're claiming that the models were trained on all of the Disney IP and the NBCU IP. So you're talking about like Mickey Mouse and Aladdin and How to Train Your Dragon and
Mm,
we know this to be true, that all these language models are essentially just scraping the entire internet and like studying it and learning from it. That's what it's trained on, and then it's
yeah.
generating stuff based on its understanding of what's in the real world.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they're claiming this is a direct violation of copyright, and they're trying to shut down Midjourney. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts?
I I don't know how, like I feel like this is a tricky legal lawsuit, and in what basis can they prove that they like I just think it's going to be quite complicated to prove that there is actually a copyright infringement, because I think that's what those AI models are so like perfect at doing, is like it resembles something but it's not exactly it. But there might be something like I'm sure that if they've gone ahead with this lawsuit, that they actually have material that they feel confident they can prove that. So it would be quite interesting to see if we can, if there is more about the outcome of this lawsuit. And definitely something that I think a lot of brands as well are thinking about, of how can they protect their IP but also not restrain creative freedom or the creator economy that's running around these types of apps. So yeah, quite interesting. I don't disagree. I think it's a tough question to navigate at this stage
Yeah, I agree, and I
without
think
like
that
any government regulation or anything like that on this type of models right
they're
now.
gonna be the slowest. It's gonna be
Yeah.
another 2 years before they step in and say, "Well, this is what we think about AI." They move at a snail's pace. I don't know, like, my POV is that, like, you can't stop this. The genie is out of the bottle, It's like you can sue one of these companies, you could shut it down, but these models exist and they scrape everything. This is the world we live in today. So, I'm on the side of Disney, like, I don't think anyone should steal IP. But I think we're in a situation where we're not fully in control of the scale of what we've created.
I mean, OpenAI has like the tap if they want to like turn it off, right? So I think it. Oh, actually, on the Midjourney side, No, I agree with you. I think there just needs to be more regulation. I think we're seeing more so like celebrities, artists that are taking the same route as Disney, but also thinking about what is going to be the future of their image rights, and making sure that people are not using their personal image to create content that's they don't have approval of. So I think we probably are going to see more and more of that. I think the difficulty is like proving that there is an actual copyright infringement, especially when this is not a space that's like fully regulated at the moment.
Yeah. This is going to be an ongoing story. This
Yeah.
is going to be a hot topic for the
Yeah,
next two
absolutely. I think we're going
years.
to see more. Absolutely. But now, without further ado, shall we go into real time review?
Yeah. What are we reviewing today?
So, what we are doing today, as we have Uri Marchand, CEO of Overwolf, joining us, we thought that it would be really good to show our viewers one of the many apps that they have available. This is one that is called Outplayed, and what it does is that it records essentially like there is a bit of a process when you are recording your gameplay, creating content, putting it on Twitter, on TikTok, etc. So what that does is an app that automatically records your gameplay and facilitate essentially the editing process. So what I'll do, we'll jump onto the app. I'll show you how it looks, and then you and I, Nick, are going to play Among Us. So it's bringing back 2021 hype. But I'm really excited about it because I haven't played in a really long time. So let me see if I still have my cues aware.
Well, that's dope. I'm excited to check that out. I am a 100% noob. I have not played Among Us. I know what it is. I've not played it. So you have a competitive advantage.
Okay, guys, so I've just launched the Outplayed app, and as you can see, it's a very simple layout where you essentially download the app. You then select the game. So I've already downloaded my games, but all you do is you select all of the games that you have access to all of your games that you have on your PC. I've selected Among Us, so every time that I launch Among Us, this app is automatically going to start recording my screen. So as you can see, I have Among Us. That is one of the games that automatically, you can set it to manual if you want to. I just find it a lot easier to have it on automatic capture. So at least I just don't forget. And then on the right hand side, you have a banner display of advertising. So again, great visibility with the amount of people that are utilizing this app to be able to edit their content on social and easily capture their gameplay. This is really clever and placement and not really intrusive, and it doesn't really affect my gameplay, so it doesn't feel like it's impacting my experience either. So now, Nick, shall we start? And I'm gonna launch the game.
Yep, I have it up. I'm ready to play.
Cool. And as you can see, the app disappears. Oop. So it's not intruding again my gameplay. It just gives me the say that the full section capture is on. So this is starting to record.
Okay, so we just jumped into a server together. There's
Yeah,
three of us, four of us.
5.
Okay, okay. Now we got a little team, a little group. Okay. So
Um,
now our little
so
guys have to do their little tasks.
exactly. But you also have to, so you have arrows essentially that are leading you to your assigned role. Oh,
Dead
dead
body
body
reported.
reported. So someone been killed. Okay, okay.
That's rough. Okay. That's
Uh,
one down.
one down. Who is the imposter? I have no idea.
So everyone gets a free vote right now or what?
No, yeah, voting begins in 20 seconds, so you'll have a vote. Two people two people died. My God. Okay. I feel wait, so this guy number 30, first of all, he's an experienced man, level 30.
He also looks
Um
evil, just for the
and
people
I
listening.
felt
He's
like
got
he
a
was a bit like he tried to like he was like following me a little bit. So I think this is I'm gonna put mine on mold guilt.
yeah, me too. He's a lurker for sure.
It's so
Who's
funny.
plus boot?
Okay, so Mulgit has the most votes, so he's gonna get kicked out. Let's see if we were right. Oh, no one was ejected. What? Two imposter remain. What does that mean? I thought. Oh, so maybe we did get it right then.
Okay. So we got two left.
We got two imposters left.
Oh,
Oh,
nice. Okay.
I feel
Good,
like
good. Got the first one
I feel
right.
like I feel like life sabotage is an imposter. Wait, I feel
Oh, oh, why is this
like
guy all up in
he
my
says
face? I'm
he
trapped.
asks,
Okay.
oh.
Why you
Oh,
following me like that,
definitely.
homie?
Yeah, he's following me. I'm on my own. I'm on my own. Oh no, this is suspicious. This is suspicious. I called fishy. I think this is suspicious.
Emergency meeting.
Emergency meeting.
Who pushed the button?
I mean, it wasn't me, but I was this close of doing it. So where was this creepy guy that was following me? I think it was Fastinet. What do you
That's
think?
me.
Did you have, is that
I'm
you?
I'm Fastinet.
Oh, you were
So if you think that I'm an imposter,
because you
then I
were like
guess
following me weirdly. And then, okay, so wait. So either there was like Waste Quiet that was on his own. I thought you were behaving very weirdly. Um,
I was just exploring the space. There's
I'm
nothing.
gonna put this guy in.
Peel, peel, homie.
I'm putting live dotage. Peel Homie was a. I think that's me, mate. I think that no,
That's
I'm
you?
the one with the K. Yeah.
Okay.
Fascinate. See, you were acting suspiciously. So many people voted you out.
But
You got kicked
I
out.
wasn't. I was not.
He was
That's
not an imposter.
rough.
Yeah. I
Okay,
told you.
well, I'm out of the
I was
game.
like,
That's it.
this guy is fishy. Nick, you were acting weird.
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm new to the game, so I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, but you
But
were following people like like you have to play it cool.
I was creeping people out.
If
I
I
guess
didn't
so.
have inside information, I would have voted you out. So I'm not surprised that four other people thought that you were weird.
I was clearly deemed to be a lurker, so that's fair. I'm out.
This was that's so funny.
Oh, now I want to play it more. I think I can get good at the game, but
Okay, I'm done with this game. Okay.
all right. Well, look,
So
I lost clearly.
yeah,
You're
leave.
still remaining, so
I'm
you won. I
leaving,
lost.
but no, I'm not leaving man behind. So I'm leaving the game so we can continue and wrap it up. But I will close the game and then show you how does it look from the app side. So as you can see, again, super easy. You do have some, again, super smart from Elder Scroll to put the advertising here because they obviously know their target audience. And then what's super cool is that I already have the recording here. So that makes the life of our producer a lot easier because now the screen share is all here. And then, oh, it's quite interesting. Actually, LSC is doing some advertising on. So, quite interesting again for them to like advertise on there. But as I mentioned, it's just not intrusive. And I think what I really liked about this application is at the moment that I launched my game, it wasn't in the background. It wasn't like, intrusive to my gameplay, and I could just enjoy it as I please. So really well done from Overwolf. But without further ado, shall we jump into the interview with Uri Marchand? Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk to Uri. Let's go. And we're back. Uri Marchand is the CEO and co founder of Overwolf. Overwolf is an all in one platform that enables creators to build, distribute, and monetize in game apps and mods. They support more than 1,500 games. They have 178,000 creators with a total reach of about 100 million monthly active users. Uri is an OG GOAT when it comes to establishing and scaling operations in tech and has seen a lot of success with previous tech companies. I've been a fan of what Overwolf has been doing for a long time, and I first met Uri at the Think LA gaming brunch earlier this year. So, Uri, we're excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Th- Thanks, Nick. Excited to be here.
So let's take it one step back because I think a lot of people in the industry have heard the word Overwolf, but I think very few of them actually understand what the app is and then how the business functions. Can you give us a little background and explain how it works and also how marketers should be thinking about it?
Sure. So the way we think about our platform is for creators that want to build overlays, that want to build mods, that want to build private servers or websites or any sort of third-party content around an existing game. We provide the technology, the distribution, and the monetization basically to allow them to build and then share it with their friends and with the community, but also monetize it and be able to make a living out of building UGC around games. So this is
Yeah,
in
and
a
these kind of
nutshell.
companion apps, I'm sorry, like I just to help the listeners, there's a parallel to like back in the game with or back in the day with like strategy guides,
Right.
right? It was like if you play a game and you love it, you want some support, you want anything else you can consume around that game. Strategy
Correct.
guides came out back in the day where it's like if you read it, you'd have a competitive advantage, a deeper understanding. Essentially, what you guys are doing is working with creators to make these companion apps that kind of enhance the experience for the person that's playing that specific game, right?
Yeah, I mean, the concept about our business probably started like hundreds of years ago, maybe even thousands, with chess and these type of games that are very kind of simple to learn how to play, very simple to start. You understand the rules, all right, I can play, but they're extremely hard to master. And so folks wrote books and there were guides and summer camps for chess. I know I attended one, and today, what's happening right now, the experience became digital. And because it's digital, and because the games are sometimes as complex as chess, some folks called it like a four-dimensional chess just because of the nature of some of the esports game and how complicated and deep they are, and how hard they are to master. So these tools actually function as those strategy guides, as this coach on the sidelines that's going to help you be a better version of yourself as a gamer and eventually have a better experience from the game itself.
So I know that Yuri, there's a huge community of modders within Overwolf, as well as you have a app system. So I love to, I guess, for our listeners maybe that are less familiar with the modding community side, would you be able to provide a little bit more information on what mod is and how is this part of like the gaming community and culture?
Sure. So we just talked about apps. So apps are like strategy guides. They're like a coach. If you're thinking about this, everyone knows basketball, so you know that there's the players on the court, there's the coach on the sidelines, and the coach helps you with strategy or with tips on how to play better. This is what apps are doing, kind of like strategy guides. Mods, however, are whole new pieces of content. So technically, mods are files that you download to your game. Sometimes you need to replace existing files. Sometimes it could be an edited file like a map or a custom or basically playable content that you can then load and play inside the game. So the big difference is if an app is something that helps me in my gameplay but does not add gameplay content, a mod usually adds gameplay content either in the form of cosmetics, which is the first mod that was created in 1983. Castle Smurfenstein was the name of the mod for Castle Wolfenstein. Basically replaced the Nazis with Smurfs. That's a cosmetic mod. A Fortnite skin, you can think about that as a cosmetic mod. Obviously, Fortnite itself does not support mods, but it's a file that you had to download, and that changed the visual of the game. But if you want to get more playable hours, you can download the dungeon mod or a mod pack. So basically, I guess more gaming content.
I'm a huge fan of the Sims mod. I think that's for people that were Sims player, maybe that
Right.
will resonate as well with them because I'm sure they would have been on Overwolf to download more content essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Sims is a great example to, a game that benefited a ton from the community thinking about how to build tools that would allow people to build mods. But then once you've built the mod and you want to share it with your friends, how do you do that? How do you enable discovery? And then eventually, how do you enable monetization to keep those creators incentivized in continuously producing content? So this is a great example.
So Yuri, you've built your entire business around marketing to gamers in general. I'm curious, like, why you took that focus. Like, what real value is there for deep engagement with this community?
This starts with our vision. What we wanted to do different in modding is we thought that if a modder wants to make a living building mods, there should be a world in which this is possible. And decades ago, this was not possible because creativity resulted in a lot of engagement, new game genres. Everyone knows, right? The MOBAs and the battle royales started as mods. But then the creators themselves, the people that produced the initial content, weren't able to sort of take it all the way. They weren't able to focus on it and do it as their day job and therefore reach the quality they could have reached if they were able to invest more time and resources. All right. So generally, if I think about our vision of helping building a new profession, helping modders make a living. And I look at what's out there right now. You see ecosystems like Twitch and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, and basically every creative platform has some sort of a media element to it, some sort of a way that allows the massive amount of consumers who are interacting with the content to get exposed to brands in exchange for the brands paying for access and helping creators make a living. So I think it was very clear for us that advertising is a core strategic pillar of what we're doing because yeah, it's really, really tough to just get money for your digital creation from day one, particularly when everyone's just used to get it for free.
No, I agree, and it's an excellent way, I think, as you mentioned, for creators to continue, I guess, to be able to create and share their content free to the community at scale, but also find a way to monetize that without having to increase the price point of their creation. I'm quite curious because obviously there's different ways essentially that a brand can engage with gaming communities. We've seen brands creating their own environments on platform like
Right.
Fortnite or Roblox. They have also now launched their media solution, and I'm more curious on the latter. Where when do you think paid media fits within a brand strategy? When do you think it's best for a brand to do advertising potentially on a platform like Overwolf versus creating a whole like UGC item collection or a whole like environment for themselves?
So I think it depends on the goal and how you measure success, and also how much skin in the game you have and how long term you're thinking about your interaction with the community. For example, um, building like a short term, one off Fortnite island or a Roblox game is not necessarily an amazing idea because you have to get product market fit. You have to get people excited about what you built. You have to continuously nourish that map or that game. Otherwise, you're probably going to miss out on the engagement KPIs that you have that probably define success for your media spend. However, if you're thinking about Fortnite as like a strategic destination in which your end consumers are, and they're right at the point of market entry. If you're like a Procter and Gamble and you want to sell Gillette, for example, and you know you have to hit the demographic, and all they do is play Fortnite, then there aren't that many opportunities. I mean, sure, you could go to TikTok and like, I think that the average viewability time for a video on TikTok is like less than 2 seconds, like 1.7, 1.8 or so, and they may get exposed to the brand, so then when they kind of need to shave their first mustache, they may be excited about getting Gillette. But if they've done a few rounds in the Gillette world, for example, then it's a deeper level of engagement that may result in them actually making that purchase decision. So I think the first thing I'd say is, if you're not in for the long term and and you want to do a one-off and you want to experiment, you're probably better off with media, something that is easy, something that is out of the box, something that is IMB compliant, something that your media buying teams are already familiar with. They already know the viewability KPIs and the click-through rates and like all those things. And yeah, as Overwolf, we basically try to offer both worlds, like an ability to integrate your standard traditional media, the creatives that you've spent sometimes millions of dollars creating like the perfect ad, even though with Gen AI now it might be cheaper, but still, like for rights, for music, for talent, for production, sometimes those creatives are really good and this is something that you're really proud of. So figuring out a way to integrate that seamlessly into the experience, yeah, that's a pretty cool thing, especially if the experience doesn't suck. Like it needs to be the experience needs to be like proper, right, for the gamer. So I think this is kind of how I think about that long term versus short term, easy versus which actual KPIs you actually want to drive.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
And Fortnite's a great example here because if you are a brand, if you are Gillette, right, and you want to activate on Fortnite, like yes, you can do like a license deal, sort of, but this takes a lot of time, and there's
Right.
probably a lot of money involved, and it's like it would be a big lift, and you might not be able to do it. It might not make sense. So you would then go the Overwolf route, which you could kind of run media to the companion app of all the people that are playing Fortnite, or you can do an integration, like a one-off deal, into like an integration into a map that's there. But the point is, you have to be clever about the way you get in there, because
Sure.
oftentimes going straight through the platform direct or the owner of the game title might just not be realistic. It might not be a realistic path.
Or you could do both, right? You
Yeah.
can create a strategy in which the media mix is an activation in, say, I don't know, the top 5 Fortnite maps, combined with media that is going to be seen by a similar cohort of players, but on a different medium, like the apps. There's actually one example that I want to share. So 2 of our team members just came back from Unreal Fest. Unreal Fest is like a conference that is focused on Epic Games' products and particularly Fortnite and UE and they actually celebrated that for the first time. I think it was last week. One of the UE maps got more engagement
Yeah.
than the Fortnite core Battle Royale experience. And the team at Epic Games like really celebrated that on stage. And for brands, this is awesome because that studio could potentially be a lot more approachable and maybe approachable is not the right word, but just like working with an indie studio versus working with Epic Games, it's easier. It's like less cycles and holy crap, like such massive exposure. So like if I'm Gillette and I want to find the perfect media mix for me and I think that Fortnite is the right audience for me and potentially Roblox or through folks like us or through teaming up with creators, they can create
Mm.
presence in a lot of games
Yeah.
simultaneously with various kind of media elements.
Yeah, I guess it's the same for any UGC platform, right? Is that the discretion of the creator on how much they want to advertise their own content, and then at the discretion of the users to see how much they want to engage with it.
That's true, but at the same time, I think platforms do need to have basic, like,
Regulation.
principles. Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, 100%.
Otherwise, it could get, like, really awkward.
Yeah.
So,
You guys have made so much impact. I mean, you work with so many different titles. Like, how many apps are out there total?
I think we have, round about 250 apps, and, hundreds of thousands of mods, and
That's amazing.
on the
That's
private
awesome.
service side, it's probably like 30,000 creators.
That's so cool. I'm curious, out of all of these, what's the campaign that you're most proud of or most excited about from the past that you've executed?
The one that I feel like is the most accurate one is, Dawn dish soap, and, we've done a Saving Wildlife campaign for them, and they were really, really smart because how do you really promote dish soap to gamers? And for them, it was about try to understand what the brand values are, and Dawn dish soap, if you remember, there were a few incidents in which, like, oil leaks resulted in really kind of um, you know, hurt birds full of oil, and then they took the dish soap to clean them up and remove the oil and did not kill the bird. So, it's probably a good thing to do to the world. And this became a part of the narrative for them. So we invited the community in Minecraft to think about how to take this brand value and bring it to life within the game. Um, we then asked those creators that have built these environments to create a clip of the environment and then to share it on social networks. And each and every person that shared, we donated like $5 to um, a wildlife charity. And this was such a smart mix between introducing content that is meaningful, that is spot on for the brand because it touches brand values, that
Mhm.
is fun for gamers, that does good to the world and give them the exposure that they want. So I feel like they kind of checked every single box with this campaign.
Yeah.
So and this is a story that we didn't get to like national television or the news or anything like that with that, but I think potentially it's like at the right scale, it's even newsworthy when a brand does something like that.
Yeah, and I love that they also didn't silo the campaign to just what was happening on your platform, but also looking at their own social media. And maybe I'm kind of leading the your response to this next question, but I'm taking a step back, I guess, of what they've done. What do you think are like how can brand get the most value when they are engaging within platforms like Overwolf? Like, what do you think are the creative or the strategy? How can they embed essentially those new digital touch points to gain the most value out of it?
I think there's no silver bullet. Like, unfortunately, right? This is why we have a creative team that needs to kind of for every brand, try to understand how they measure success, what their KPIs
Mhm.
are, and then drive their KPIs in the way that makes the most sense for that brand. Because what makes sense for Gillette does not necessarily make sense for Dawn, does not necessarily make sense for Paramount. It's just like it's so different. And I think being a part of this community for the game community, I think in general, for so long, our creative team has like a sense of what we think could work and could resonate
Mhm.
with the community. So like when we design those things, it's like designing mini products, right? Generally, product managers, what they need to do is talk with the potential customer, understand their needs, build a product around it. What we're doing is we're speaking with a specific brand, we understand the needs. Now we need to build like an advertising product around it, and success is defined if there's good product market fit. If there's no product market fit, no one's gonna want your creative. Uh, you may get exposure, but it's gonna be like, nah, it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So this is why there's no silver bullet. It's like it's really fine tuning the right activation for the brand. I think in terms of broadly how we think about strategy, then like it's really really dumbing it down. But like if you want to be successful with your campaign, you have to have a cool angle, and that could be even like a smaller percentage of your budget. Again, going back to the Coca-Cola example, producing this festival could be a significant amount of money, like let's say $1 million to produce the festival. But then the media spend against telling that story could be 10 million, or it could be 20 million if you want to reach every single American person on earth. And I think it's the same story here. You gotta be able to tell the story, but also create a really, really cool idea and cool activation to kind of drive your story and drive your awareness. Does that make sense? So
No, it does.
something
And
cool in media to attach, and also targeting and all those things.
yeah. No, I think discoverability, you're absolutely right. And it is getting a more crowded space, and very difficult, I think, to gain traction. I think we're all fighting for, well, these developers and platform are all fighting for this attention. And I guess when you're a brand, that would be my a question. I think that's taking a step back on everything that we said. When you're a brand, if you were to speak to a marketer right now, or from someone that's in an agency that advising their brands, and they haven't done any gaming activation, not sure which platform to go into, or even what models to tap into, because there's so much that you can do, what would be your first advice on how they can, you know, engage with different developers or engage with different gaming communities? What would be the 5 tips or 3 tips that you wanna give them?
Tip number one, understand that the games industry is not homogenous, and there are huge differences between the different communities.
Great.
Probably the second tip is find a trusted advisor or a trusted partner, kind of like you guys at Sawhorse, similar to what we're trying to do to kind of fine tune the strategy with them. And I guess the third tip is think long term. Don't think necessarily one offs, because I don't think this is the guaranteed way to succeed. And measuring success with engagements could be difficult. It all depends on what you want to achieve. But I think long term. Think about this as a first step out of many. And every step you learn, you optimize your strategy and you make it better next time.
Well
There's just
put.
like I just add to that, there was a cohort, like as we look at our audience, um, there are humans that are not on TikTok 24/7 or on Instagram 24/7, and not to even talk about Facebook. So how do you build a relationship with them? They're not necessarily watching TV. It's like they're living in those ecosystems and environments, and sure, TikTok is huge. So you want to be there as part of your strategy. I think it's obvious for everybody, but at the same time, you also want to be with that cohort. Otherwise, someone's just going to beat you to it.
I fully agree, and I think it's an opportunity for advertisers and marketers to realize if you can integrate yourself into a game organically and offer value and kind of show up in a way that the player's already doing something. I think that's just such deep, valuable marketing.
Yeah.
It's not just like a message that says I'm over here, I'm important. It's like integrating into how they're already playing, what they're choosing to do, and offering them value. I think there's nothing more valuable than that.
Sweet.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
Yuri, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate your time, and we appreciate Overwolf. I feel like we're super excited to see what continues to come out.
Sweet. Thanks for having me, though. This was fun.
Thank you so much, Yuri.
Thanks.
That was awesome talking to Yuri. Albane, what were your thoughts?
I think that was really interesting and definitely a topic that a lot of brands might not be too familiar with around the modding community or what they can do with it. And I think I'm still adamant that Overwolf is such a clever and low barrier to entry solution for brands that are looking to engage with those AAA games audiences like League of Legends or even Among Us, like what we just played. It's that brands cannot show up in that game, but you can engage with that community through Overwolf. So I think this is like a really clever solution if you have identified a specific audience, but you might not feel ready to have an IP licensing with this developer, or they just might not have a solution essentially for you to do to integrate your brand. I think this is an incredible solution for you to engage with those audiences, but at a lower barrier to entry and advertise your products within Overwolf.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I just love them because it's such a creative way to reach different audiences by infusing those ads inside of those companion apps, which makes a lot of sense. So, and I also think that if you're looking to have full control of reaching all gaming audiences, Overwolf is one sort of arrow in your quiver that you should have
Yeah,
because there's no other way to reach certain games. So I think they're
exactly.
pretty valuable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. But now, without further ado, let's jump into what's played out this week.
What is played out? Alban, I feel like I know what is played out for you, getting hit by a
Yes.
car on your bike.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes, I think my played out is that it's so hard to get your driving license, but you don't have any like repeated tests. And I feel like there should be something where after a certain age, you should have to repeat your test or even just like a reminder lesson throughout, as you grow older. Not just as you get older, but as you grow older, I think it's important to have several refresher because definitely if you don't know the difference between the accelerator and the brake, there is an issue and that could be dangerous,
I agree. I do think that there should be these tests after you hit
right?
certain age milestones where it's like,
No,
just come on
milestone.
in. Let's just do another in-person drive
Let's just
session
make
just to check
sure
you out.
which exactly. Let's just make sure you know which pedal is which.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
thankfully, no one was hurt. My bike is okay. But good to have. Good to know which one is which pedal is which. I think that's quite helpful when you're driving a car.
Yes, I agree. And for me, what's played out is what's been on my mind recently is attack robots and AI inside of like the war zone. It's terrifying if you think about
Mm-mm.
it. And the reason why I was thinking about it is just like in the United States, we just had the U.S. Army's 250th
I
anniversary
saw.
parade.
Yeah,
Right, and so there was a moment of it that had, like, a fleet of drones that was
I
part of,
saw.
like, this, right? So, it's like, we're already using drones in military operations, which is not new, everyone knows that. But then you start thinking about, like, what if we start using it at home, against our own people? And then you see all these type of robots, like the dog-looking robots that are
Yeah, it's
on
very
4
scary.
legs. It's like all you need to do is add some weapons on top of those, add them to police forces, and it's just like it's a
Black
scary
Mirror.
mental image of like 4 of those things scaling an apartment building and busting through and like tasing people. Like, this is something that I could see happening in our lifetimes. It's nerve-wracking. Also, we're gonna be faced with a sort of a ethical dilemma where you could argue that maybe these AI robots that are trained to just follow the letter of the law can go out and make those decisions, which, could be a good thing because there would be less bias from the police force,
Mm,
right? Like, no racial profiling, for instance. But at the same time, it's a computer software program, so it can be
yeah.
manipulated and controlled. I just feel like this is a scary thing that is closer than we think. and I'm nervous about it.
I agree with you where we definitely live in a very scary time. And I think it's why it's so important to, you know, vote, express like your opinion, have conversations as well. I think it's this it's that is a time I think for yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to like not be political actually on this podcast, but let me let me try to like review on this.
You can be political. There's nothing wrong with
No,
that.
because
It's
then
your
it's
point of
like
view.
it's dangerous, and you never know. I don't know. I think it's good not to. I think I'll just keep it soft. But I agree with you. I think we are living in a very very uncertain time, very stressful time as well. I still rely and have faith in human beings on making good decisions, but I definitely, it's a good time to speak, share your opinion, and get together to make sure that not the wrong actions are being taken. I think I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, a good reminder to get out and vote straight up because if we let AI just run everything, we're going to run ourselves into the ground. So we
Exactly.
got to
Humans
find
are
that
great.
balance. Yeah, humans are good. Let's not forget that.
Yep.
But that was a fantastic episode. Thanks again. Don't forget to subscribe. And Edward, please read us out.
And that was Brands in Play. Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Co-hosted by Albane, Prioux and Nick Hill. Our show today was produced by myself, Uri Marchand, with creative direction by Joey Jeda and Javed Kazmi, and audio engineering by Somran Kiyo. Be sure to join us every week for brand new episodes.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host employers. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information and is intended for informational purposes. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization mentioned.